this industry is huge. Again, we talked about what our numbers are. I've said it before. I think we could solve world peace if we just talk cars. You know, I've been across the world. I've been. You know, there's a picture of me in Dubai. You go up there and you can be a little intimidated at first, but when you start talking cars, it's just this passionate industry, right? It's a lifestyle, and I think we have to look at it as a lifestyle. I think SEMA is a lifestyle, and how do we protect and how do we grow our lifestyle? Find something you're really passionate about and do it. Don't care about what other people think of you. If you really love something, I don't care what it is, go do it and do it hard. You get one chance at all this, right? And so it doesn't have to be something you do that's wealthy, although I do think that hard work and passion of what you do can get you somewhat successful, but go do what you like. Don't care what other people think.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. Another week, another episode, and another round with Mike Spagnola in person.
Round two.
For those that may have been living under a rock or just new to this industry or new to this podcast, Mike is president and CEO of SEMA. SEMA represents over 3,000 companies manufacturing vehicle accessories, customization, appearance, and comfort products. It is known for their industry-defining annual automotive trade show in Las Vegas. The only reason any cars ever get done ever is because of SEMA. If it wasn't for SEMA, we got next year.
Still
right?
working on it. We've been there, done that.
And the night before, by the way, you get done.
And the trailer on the way out there and next daying parts and doing it in the parking lot.
Yep.
Personal Instagram is at SPAGSSR at Spag Senior. Then you've got at SEMA Show, at SEMA.
All the above.
Just search SEMA.
Google
And
SEMA.
you'll find it.
SEMA, yeah.
Are you going to be partaking in our shenanigans?
I'll have a little bit, sure. How could I not with you guys?
Yeah, you got to try this one if nothing else.
Okay.
This is
This
a game changer right
This is
here.
a rare one, very rare one. Mike, glad to have you back in studio. We had a great time last time, and it's been about a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Ready to get after it. You have been quite the little media tour here. I've been seeing you on podcasts left and right.
I have been, but I got to tell you, this is always fun.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I love the work you guys do.
Thank you.
Got a chance to tour the shop here a minute ago, and man, I just drool every time I come here. So
we appreciate that.
Cool work.
We still drool when we come here every now and then.
Yeah, when you have that moment of clarity, like a Sunday evening, nobody's around, you can step back and appreciate it.
Or it's just because you got kicked.
Otherwise, you're crying, for different reasons.
So what's been going on, man? You've been, you just got off the DC tour, right? Y'all were up there?
Yeah, it's, I'm doing a lot of work in government relations right now.
You washed your hands before you came in, right?
I did. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's, we're, I don't know about you guys, but I've never been a big political guy. And even as a SEMA member before coming to SEMA, I was in my own manufacturing companies and those sorts of things. And I was like, yeah, it's good. It'll get taken care of. A lot to do about nothing. Things always work their way out.
Somebody else will handle it.
Somebody else will handle it. And I came to SEMA and started doing some of that work. And then when I became CEO, and probably even just recently with all the stuff going on recently, with all the new government regs, I mean, the car industry is right in the center of the bullseye for a lot of legislators right now, with EV, it mandates and just everything off-road, just for whatever reason, it's our turn to get kicked in the ass,
In the crosshairs from all different angles.
Yeah. And so, quickly realize that this stuff's happening. And if you don't speak up and if you don't have a game plan, we're going to get legislated out of business. And I don't mean to be the guy, with my hair on fire, but it's pretty scary stuff going on right now.
I've got a poorly crafted theory with absolutely no facts, but the theory is
rare that you lead in with that.
I wanted to set up the expectations. On the car side, we've had podcasts, you've had interviews, you've had, everybody that's been in this space, have always led the conversation where it's like, car guys are the best guys. It doesn't matter about politics. You always can get along. Car guys always get along. They'll find something to become. And I think that's kind of gotten out. And we're the last group of people. That's the last thing that binds us. They're like, you know what?
They're nice guys.
We're going to figure out a way to make that divisive. We're going to put this EV thing in there. And it's like
they want us to be at each other's throats.
They want us to be at each other's
Okay.
throats, which has made me kind of pull back on going so hard on the anti-EV or anti this kind of stuff, and realizing like, you know what? That's exactly what they want us to do, is be fighting about this and not worrying about everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
It's a theory.
Yeah.
It's definitely a theory.
I said it had no facts. I just said it was a theory.
Yeah. So, look, the government has said it's EV and EV only. And we think EV is part of the future, but we don't think it's the only thing.
Right.
There's hydrogen, there's synthetic fuels, there's hybrids, there's biofuels, there's all these technologies going on. But the way the regs are written right now, it's EV and it's EV only. In California, they want 35% of the vehicles by 2026 sold to be EV.
That's crazy.
And they want all EV by 2035 nationwide. And they've even written the regs, the new EPA regs, that EVs are the only things that'll work. And they're biased with it. I mean, they've put their thumb on the scale and said, this is what it's going to be. And first off, adoption rate is slowing down. I mean, we're starting to see EV sales slow down. We can go through all the things of electricity is being made on the East Coast with coal, and there's not enough charging stations and all those sorts of things that play into it. And, we can talk about where minerals are coming from out of China. And, China owns 80% of all the mineral factories or mines where all this stuff is
So
coming.
those are just the small details.
Yeah.
That people, that
That doesn't matter. Child labor for all those mines
Right.
and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, again, and China wants to bring now, complete vehicles into the U.S. at a much lower price, which is, they've got government subsidies, so they could do that and just ruin the car industry.
Why do you think I get broad picture of why we've got to band together. Somebody's got to do something, we got to save the environment, all the different reasons, but specifically EV or nothing. What do you personally believe that is the reason why they have made that push and completely put blinders on and earmuffs on to any other options? Because
the real
we
reason.
let the free market decide VHS over beta, right? We let the free market decide, CDs overtook Laserdiscs, right? And the government didn't come in and be like, guess what? CDs are smaller, better quality, less plastic. No, it's CDs only, right? So
I mean, it's definitely obviously the environmental side of things being pushed, but there's a lot out that says if we went complete EV in the U.S., we lower the temperature by like 0.2%, of 1 degree. So,
but I get that from the
environmental side,
but there's other things that also have an environmental benefit.
So
or
you think you
if
get
you
into
had
like
10% of
ulterior
the
motives, or what's the real
I
driving
just don't know.
force?
I wonder. I mean, you've been way deeper in the woods than any of us.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say, look, first off, once they get the EVs right, there's a lot less moving parts, probably higher margins for the manufacturer. So, that's probably playing into it. Less repairs, less, again, the manufacturers, once they scale up, can probably make these things cheaper and make more margin.
You think the manufacturers at the top levels they're on board with this?
That's a good question. If you look at Ford and GM, they seem to be, although Ford and GM have basically just recently come out and said hybrid looks like it's a good interim step.
Well, GM's been dabbling. Dodge kind of picked their, and then Jim Farley's done a great job of being strongly on the middle of the fence.
Right. Yeah.
Depends on who. I think he's doing a great job, but he's definitely rode that fence.
Yeah. Again, if you can't get adoption from consumers, you got to figure something out pretty quick. Toyota was the first that really said hybrid is the way, and they got pounced by it. Their chairman got in a lot of trouble for it, but turns out that they've been the right move.
Norris Marshall was on here talking about that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to piggyback on your point, like if it's truly environmental that's driving it, then why is there no push or really nobody even looking at hydrogen seriously? Because if you're really talking environmental, I mean, it's 100% the way to go.
Yep. And I think it's horse for course, right? For sure, hydrogen for heavy duty trucks is going to be the way. Batteries weigh too much to try to throw on a semi and pull
But
it
if you
down
have
the
to
road.
put the infrastructure together for heavy duty trucks, then the byproduct is you got it for passenger cars.
Yeah, right. So, I do think hydrogen's a great answer, and I think it's one of the answers. There's actually a study out that said if we adopt hydrogen, synthetic fuels, biofuels, hybrids, and EV, we actually get to cleaner air sooner than if we wait for EV to take over.
And there's more gas for us to use then.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a firm believer in the amount of gas burning engines that all of this talk from everybody has pushed the sales of, strictly from the rebellious nature of a lot of people of being like, I've been fine driving my V6 F-150 because I don't tow a trailer, but I've read that it's EV and EV only. So I probably have my next purchase to get a T-Rex, and that's the only time I'm going to be able to get one. So I've gone out, and he would have never bought that truck had it not been for that. And if they would have just said like, hey, we need give the government subsidies to explore all of these different options. Maybe it's 10% of EV, maybe it's 10% hydrogen, maybe it's this. And then again, free market kind of takes over of, hey, this one, again, CDs and laser discs, VHS and beta.
To that end, cell phones and the iPhone and that sort of thing, right? Turned out to be a great product. 95% adoption rate in the U.S. Never a subsidy.
Not me.
So yeah. You're the other guy.
He's the 1% that ruins every group chat.
Yeah. So, but again, there was no subsidies for any of that, right? And yet there's billions of dollars being put into subsidies to the OEs for EVs. Why? If it's a great product, it doesn't need those subsidies.
Yeah.
It sells itself.
You'll invest in your own business because you know that it's going to be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's got to be money behind it, pushing it for some reason.
And look, if you want to be, I don't know that I completely believe all the conspiracy side of this thing, but EVs are easy to track everything, right? I mean, you can run down the road. They know where you are at any given time. Yeah. I mean, there's already studies going on now because they're not getting the road tax, right? Because they're not buying gas. So there's a couple of different studies going on. One is that they're going to charge you by the mile for an EV, and they'll charge you more during traffic times because they're going to have to make up that money somewhere. Yeah. And then there's another study that looks like they're going to charge you more for your electricity, period, house, any of that. And then there's, I just read a report on Tuesday that California is looking at another 50 cents per gallon tax to cover the EV deal. And they're just going to keep raising that tax price to tax you out.
Whatever happened to big oil? Remember, you always talked about big oil, and now it's got to be small oil now because nobody. I mean, think about.
I think they made all the money there is to make, so they're just like, we're just going to retire.
I don't know if it's all foreign-owned large companies now, but I mean, you think about in the '90s or whatever, you couldn't even start talking about something. The big oil lobbyists, whatever, would shut any notion of that stuff down, and you don't hear any backlash.
I think they're there. I think they're working behind the scenes, because they can't look like they're not concerned about the environment, but there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And they're doing really great with a lot of low emissions fuels right now, right? I mean, Chevron's doing that, Shell's doing that. Porsche just spent $100 million on synthetic fuels of work they're doing. So, if you think about an ICE engine, internal combustion engine, it's a great technology and it's a great source of power. It's what you put in it, that we have to clean up. Yep. And so, if we can put a better fuel inside of it and clean it up, I mean, there's a lot of work being done with ICE engines and hydrogen right now. And
if all this goes, which we know that it probably won't, right? This California holds strong, right? It's what, 2030?
Yeah, 2026 and then 2035. Yeah.
And that's adopted across, and that, say we fast forward, right? And that's a thing, right? You can only buy these. What's the next step then? Because there's obviously at that point somebody's gonna be like, there's still too many of these used cars running around.
Oh, as far as like clearing the
what's the next step? Is that supply chain where you just can't repair them? Is that
there was about a year and a half ago, California Resources Board put out a questionnaire to people with older vehicles. I got one, and it was they were just inquiring about how often you drive your older vehicle, how long does it stay in the garage, do you put fuel additives in your vehicle.
I love the air quotes for inquiring.
Does the gas cap always on? They're looking at EVAP, and what's happening with EVAP inside the vehicles. So they're looking into all of that. Now they claim it was just to update a model, but it came out that, they're looking at all those sorts of laws again, where they can do crush and, all of that. So
crazy times.
It is crazy.
When you're in DC with these politicians and they're running through all this stuff, does it feel like, I imagine it's like a HOA meeting where there's no common sense, and you have. And you just have people speaking that have no clue what they're talking about. I mean, what kind of politicians are like active in this movement?
So I got to tell you, we do have friends on both sides of the aisle, and there's definitely a lot of car guys out there, that are politicians. So they get it with us. And then the rest, you'll get into these meetings and they'll nod their heads and they'll understand. And, I'm probably pretty sure that they throw your paperwork in the trash can after you leave. But you got to do it anyway. We had last week in DC, we had over 100 SEMA members there, 150 meetings, and we just pounded the pavement and we went through, just everybody we could. I mean, they were all pre-set up meetings, and we spoke our voice on the EV mandates, on some of the off-road stuff that's going on.
Is your biggest pitch the economic and jobs impact? Is that the sales pitch?
Yeah. So great question. What we did find, we've been doing this for a while, and even when we tried to do the save our race cars and all that, when you're trying to work at that level and talk about our industry, I don't know that they always get it. But when you start talking about economic impact, they start to get it. So we did that economic impact study.
You mean it's because it's those guys that's the ones that are voting, that are losing their job?
Voting
is that
tax revenue.
That's wild.
Yeah, what is the size of the aftermarket industry?
So we did our economic study last September, and we're a $337 billion a year industry.
I missed it by a digit.
Yeah,
we just did 2 digits.
No, I said 30 something.
That was $337 billion.
We did a podcast last week, and it brought up. It was with Brendan Schaub, and we were talking about the SEMA stuff, and I said it was 30 something billion, but I think I might be leaving a digit.
Yeah, 337. But when they do an economic study, they don't just look at, so you guys get a paycheck, but then after you get your paycheck, you go and buy groceries. So they look at that whole deal that say, if you guys were out of business, what kind of impact would that be? And it's $337 billion a year. But we're a $53 billion a year just sales product industry. And so pretty big. We're 1.3 million American jobs. I think we pay $50 billion in taxes every year. So those are the numbers. And then we broke it down by state. So that's what they listen to. When they start to understand that they're making these laws and how it's going to affect the economic impact in their neighborhood, they get it. I will say that.
That's what I was going to wonder is, out of all of those tools in that toolbox, have you found that do different ones resonate with different politicians?
Yeah. And it also depends on how many people are in their neighborhood, so when we went last week, we said, okay, in your, half the neck of the woods, there's, 60 SEMA members, and they make all these sort of things. By the way, we're 7,000 members, 3,000 are manufacturers and about 4,000 retailers, but, it's a big group, and, we're a big deal, and we're starting to say that. We used to always kind of try to work behind the lines with politics and all that, and didn't come out and didn't talk about it publicly and all that. We can't do that anymore. We got to raise our voices and be heard. And, because of that, I get hate mail, and, we get torn up a little bit, but
the hate mail you get's actual physical mail, right? Yeah. It's not, because they're sending you a letter. Yeah, if they're mad about that stuff now, they're sending you a letter.
Yeah, they're sending letters, and I'll get emails and that sort of things. No death threats yet. But.
Was that the fear?
Not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Was that the fear traditionally for SEMA to not?
I think they just maybe didn't. Well, a couple things. Things have been going pretty well for the last 20 years. I mean, I know there's been a few things, but we were able to work behind the scenes on CARB and EPA stuff, and even the ability to get work done to get a CARBO and all that. A lot of that work got done behind the scenes. But I think you got to raise your voices now. I mean, look at just across America. If you want to get your point across, you got to raise your voice. And so we're doing that. And we are, we've created a PAC and a super PAC, and we are, donating to campaigns that they vote our way. I mean, we're at that point where you got to do those sort of things.
When you talk about raising your voice, I think I can probably speak for everybody in our industry that you get a lot of these emails and you realize, like, you're reading through it and there's some legislation that might be passed and SEMA's actively opposing it. But I think we all kind of look at it and there's, SEMA's got this under, and you go back to work, they've got this under control. What does raising your voice mean for this entire industry? How does somebody actually become active to help stop this shit?
So so we're seeing more of it. We're seeing legislators visit your shop, right? And seeing what you guys do so they can see firsthand who you employ, what you do, the products you make, what that does for the economy, all that sort of stuff. So we're seeing more and more members being active in that sort of end. Certainly as we vote now, we got to know who's on our side, and especially with these elections coming up. And again, we've got, we're not picking a side. We've got help on both sides, but just the same, you got to know who's for you and who's against you.
Well, I mean, to that point, you said you got a super PAC, you're donating money, you've got a thing. So how many, you can be an individual member of SEMA now, right?
Yep.
You don't have to be a company.
Right.
You can just become a member.
Yeah,
how many people come to the SEMA show?
We get about 160,000 people to the SEMA show.
How many individual SEMA members are there right now?
So there's about a little less than 50,000.
Well, there's a lot of guys that are coming to your show, a lot of guys and girls coming to your show that are not SEMA members, then it's $40.
Right. So
freeloaders.
You got to have that ticket counter right there when they get in.
Yeah. So
Run through.
Do you get a discount off of your SEMA badge if you become a SEMA member?
You don't, but
not even like a couple percent.
But yeah,
Sticker? Nothing?
Yeah, you get a sticker. So you actually do get a sticker right there.
I mean, that's 100,000, give or take, additional individual SEMA members, that
it could help.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So we need that. And we need us, and here's what's going on. It used to be just engine products, right? I mean, not that that's, bad enough, but take our Central Hall. I mean, we looked at Central Hall 10 years ago and we thought, if we don't get active with CARB and EPA, that Central Hall is going to be gone. I mean, they're going to get legislated out of business. So we worked with the CARB and EPA to come up with a program that we can do these CARB EOs. And we now have these 2 labs, one in Diamond Bar, California, and one in Plymouth, Michigan, that do the CARB work. So any product that you make that affects fuel or air has to go through a CARB EO test. And if you don't do that and you start selling product, the fine is $37,500 per part sold, or can be. So it does get negotiated down usually, but it's a big number. I mean, we've seen $1 million, $2 million fines out there, but we've been able to work through that process, and it's not perfect. You're still dealing with the government, but we've been able to move. A CARB EO used to take up to about 2 years, and we've got it down to 4 or 5 months now. So we've got a process, and we've been able to do all that. But now, just about anything. I mean, if you, let's take the EV is one big issue, but now we've also got all this ADAS, right? All this advanced driving assistance systems. And you can get legislated out for lifting a truck. I mean, because all that product still got to be able to work. So we're spending a lot of time on that subject right now.
I know traditionally SEMA has always been much like they've said, we don't want to be too loud on the political side of things, right? You try to be a little agnostic, right? Yeah. You got car guys, let's talk about car stuff. Yeah. Let's not piss anybody off. And they've also been very careful about, through the different, I was with HRI and through different ARMO, through all those, about any type of legal advice, right? Or any stuff, making sure that has there been any talk about as a service to SEMA members, or even a certain allowing some legal advice or working through some of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're doing some of that. And again, we do some of that behind the scenes. I mean, we can't get involved and defend you, but if you do, let's just say you get slapped with an EPA letter that, you're being investigated, we can help walk you through that. And then we can even recommend attorneys for you that will actually fight for your case and negotiate those sorts of things down. Or, we've had there was a case about a year and a half ago where a guy in Denver had sold 33 ECUs for racing, and he could only show paperwork that 31 of them went on true race cars, and they were still on them about the other 2, so and I think that sometimes they just want to make a model out of you to show the rest of the world.
I certainly think there's bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. So, we work in all those scenes, but
well, reason I ask, if I come from the gun side of things, with concealed carry and stuff like that, there's several different organizations out there. You become a member, you do your thing, and you've kind of got that safety net of if you were to ever need anything, they're there. You call that number, they've got defenders. And I've always thought, especially as the current climate has changed in the automotive space over the last 5 or 6 years, there's some shops out there that, it's be difficult to deal with, a small shop.
Smaller guys that don't even know what they're potentially getting into.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
Even simply just writing their first contract, you got a couple employees and now you've got to the point of like, hey, we need to start having contracts with our stuff. Like that cost in and of itself, if you don't have the proper connections is a lot, or you don't even know who to call.
Yeah. So we do get those calls and we do refer them to various places. Okay. We're looking at HR stuff as well. I mean, HR as you're running your business is a big deal. And depending on what city and state you're in, the rules are different. And so we're offering those sorts of tools as well now. And looking into doing more of those sorts of tools for sure. Because it is tough. I mean, so you guys know, I mean, the stuff that you have to go through just to run a business can be daunting, and you got to figure your way through it. Especially
with traditionally, everybody went to this space because they weren't business people.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
So they're having to do the business on the side while they do the car thing full time.
Absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true.
Built something cool, sold it, turned it into a business.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what do I do now?
Yeah. It's the American dream. They shouldn't have ever made it so complicated,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that, again, in the EV things, I mean, America votes with its wallets. America has always found solutions to problems. And we should allow that to continue. I mean, that's what America was built on, was the ability to look at a problem and solve it. And, but right now the government's telling us we've solved it for you. Right. It's EV. And, but we're starting to see it fight back. I mean, again, America votes with its wallets.
Yeah.
EV sales are slowing down. There's still range. There's still, all those things that go on with EVs are still present. California, Volkswagen, when Volkswagen got sued, it was a $3 billion deal on that Dieselgate, and $1 billion of it is now in charging stations in California. So I think it was 600 million of the Dieselgate money went to charging stations, and then California taxpayers paid for the other 400 million for these charging stations. Well, these charging stations are in now, and something like 20% of them are broken. And then that same company just got another contract for another $200 million. So, there's a lot to work out. I mean, look, again, EVs are cool, and they're going to be cool for certain conditions, and they're, around the city, great. Yeah. They're probably great transportation. But you get out in the middle of the country, or you get out in cold areas like this, or you get out in real hot areas, EVs still have a lot of work to be done before they're really practical, and even range anxiety, all those sorts of things.
Right.
So, cool technology, but it's got some ways to go, and we're pushing too hard. The government's pushing too hard to make it happen now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an important election. I mean, you vote one way or it goes one way, and your EV's mandated.
Yeah.
The other way, we might have C16 in gas stations. Yeah. High octane.
Nitromethane.
Yeah, you might be able to get methanol and nitromethane.
I can see a mandate of you have to have a minimum of 1,000 horsepower because you'll get to work faster.
Yeah.
Right? And we got to get back to work.
Well, again, I don't want to get too political, but Trump has said that EV mandates go away first week he's in office.
Yeah.
So, and he wants to open up the oil lines. So
maybe big oil coming back.
Yeah.
Big oil go from small oil to big oil. So we're talking about education now. We could go on a political rant forever, and that's been done, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
The EV thing. I think we've touched on what we needed to touch on, right? Nobody really knows the real reasons. I wanted to get
you're looking for the insider info.
I'm looking for the insider info, right? All of us we got to just pivot. We got to follow the puck. We got to just.
Yep. Well, it doesn't make sense. That's why
it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. On education, what is we talked about it on the last time you were here. What's SEMA doing now for education across the nation?
Yeah, so we're looking at kind of revamping our education a little bit. We spend about $1 million a year in education work. The majority of that is at the SEMA show, but we're looking at doing an LMS now where we're going to move more and more education to online and maybe even do some certification work. So that you can get education. It's great to do it at the SEMA show, and it's great if you're there and all that. But and we're going to continue to do that. I don't mean to say we're not. I think we were over 110 education seminars at the SEMA show last year. I think we're going down to 70. But I'm real anxious to get it online. I'm really anxious to us to be able to have a system where SEMA members can come in, learn online to various topics and take your menu. But what's good about that stuff is that it's on 24/7. You know, you can look at a seminar 2 years from now, and still learn out of it. So
I think that's powerful. I think that it also probably needs to be looked at and revamped from a curation standpoint, and really get into the topic heavy stuff versus just the company and brand side of things, because it's for so many years. I mean, we've all been around this for a long time. I've been in it, I've done the seminars, it can very quickly just be a benefit to that company that's giving the seminar. It's just another form
sales
of marketing,
pitch.
Another sales pitch and stuff. And that's not, that's not the education that I'm talking about, you know? And I think that's very beneficial to further educate existing professionals, enthusiasts about your product, about your own individual company skill set and stuff. But that's not educating somebody before they've made their career choice. They've already made their career choice. Right. We need more people to be educated about making their career choice.
Well, you know,
I don't think we would have anybody in this industry if they knew what they were getting into ahead of time.
You gotta put some smoke and mirrors around it, right?
I don't know. There's passionate people always.
Bring the Budweiser girls back and be like, this is the stuff that hot rod guys do.
You know, I've told this story a couple of times now, but I was at a convention, and I spoke at this convention, and I said, I read this article that says, does the industry have 5 more years? And it talked about government regulation. It talked about the young kids coming in aren't interested in vehicles. It talked about the complexity of vehicles, and you're not going to be able to work on these vehicles anymore. And it talked about all these things that are going to make it so our industry is going to go away.
And that was written by Robert E. Peterson, probably.
No,
in one of his magazines.
So it was. So you know, you could kind of hear the crowd even go kind of quiet. And I said, "Gang, the article's from 1971."
Wow.
And I said, you know what? This industry always finds ways to, even though vehicles are getting more complicated, we find ways, innovation to make it work. There's still that next generation. I keep hearing, the next generation's not interested in cars. There's a group of young people that are interested in vehicles. It's going to carry on. And I mean, I go out and talk to enough schools and trade shows and trade schools and those sorts of things. It's going to carry on. Government regulation is scary, you know, but I'm hoping we're going to find ways. I think we're going to find ways. We know that what's going on now isn't working, and so we're going to find ways. And this industry is going to continue to thrive. I mean, there's guys like, you know, all of you here that have come up and found ways to make this thing work, and new creative ways, right? I mean, I go to that SEMA show every year, and I'm like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Or look at, I mean, I just walked your shop, and I'm looking at some of the stuff you guys are doing. That
Don't be stealing any ideas.
No, I mean, how many 69 Camaros are out there? But you guys still find creative ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
And 55 Chevy trucks and C10s and all that, and you guys still find something cool and unique to do with them.
Have y'all ever thought about, or SEMA itself thought about doing anything on the accreditation side of things with trade schools and a panel, curriculum, you know, advisory board? Yeah.
So a couple of things there. And sometimes it can be like boiling the ocean, but again, we're going to try to do this program where lots online, and the things you just talked about, you know, HR issues and legal issues and those sorts of things, to be able to have that sort of stuff online is going to be great. But one of the areas we've been playing with is, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Formula SAE program, where these colleges are building these cool, you know, off-road and small cars to go racing against each other. So we've done it now a couple times where we've brought up to 300 students into the SEMA garages, both Diamond Bar and Detroit. And so we're bringing these students in. We just did it in Diamond Bar in late March. And we had about 300 students, 20 different colleges coming around. As far as about 300 miles away, they came in. And we did a day. First off, we did some judging on their vehicles. But then we had a bunch of SEMA members come in and talk to them about opportunities in our marketplace. Because these guys are all seniors. I mean, they're smart. They're designing some cool stuff for sure. And they're passionate about the industry. But they can either come to work for somebody like you and be working. We
never got the call, though, did we?
Yeah.
We didn't. I don't.
Yeah. No, we got to bring you guys
updated numbers.
But, you know, number one, we want those guys coming into your businesses, right? And showing them careers and all that. And we talked to them about the fact that they can go to work for Boeing or some other place and work on an airplane hinge for 2 years, or they can come here and, you know, fabricate a chassis within a year or two. So, you know, if you really think about it, and you've got any sort of interest in in cars, why wouldn't you want to be in this industry? And we've been pretty successful at placing those students. And
is there any type of job placement programs that you guys have?
Yeah, we have an online portal where you can look for a job, or you can place your resume for a job. Again, this is it. At times I feel like it's boiling the ocean, but it's an area I'm passionate about. I still go talk to high schools. I think you guys have heard my story, but I came up, through taking auto shop in high school, and I still do a scholarship program to my high school's district. We just did that last week, actually. So I'm pretty passionate about it. But
you say it's boiling the ocean. Is that from a staffing bandwidth side of things?
Yeah, just the amount of money it takes and the amount of staffing and all that. But I got to tell you, there's so many people like you guys that do it on your own. And I think we can do better there, that we can work with a lot of our manufacturers to say, make sure you go to your local high school and talk to them about career opportunities and all that. And that's an area we could do better at to better inform our members, because so many of us came up through those ranks, right? And so many of us, this industry is just awesome. And there's so many of us that want to give back. There's so many of you guys that want to give back.
I'd love to do it. I don't know that my high school would allow me to come back.
You'd have to go to a different high school.
There's other high schools that I'm sure I can walk in and be maybe influential, but not Deerfield High School.
I do think that there's something there, for SEMA and manufacturers to kind of co-collab in individual areas. And, SEMA kind of help with a little bit on the fun side, and then you've got some manufacturers to help on the fun side, but do the heavy lifting, boots on the ground type of work. I think there's something to be said for like that SEMA accreditation or SEMA accredited. Yep. This program has been vetted by the professionals. Yep. It's got a SEMA stamp of approval. You're going to learn the shit you need to learn there. And you graduate and hit these thresholds along that program. You get fast tracked into this program of these pools of these exhibitors, or these manufacturers that have also done their job. You don't get to be in that pool unless you've done your job across the country.
Push and pull and get all the manufacturers involved to help with the curriculum. And
I think it would be amazing.
Yeah. You
sounds
guys
so easy. Like it was 30 years.
So it's you see these
topics today.
You see the pendulum swing, right? I mean, we're seeing it with EV, and I think it's going to come back around. Forever it was, you got to go to a 4-year college. You got to have a degree. You got to go do whatever. And now you're seeing students that have gone through college and have $120,000, $130,000 in debt, and they're working as a barista at Starbucks, right? Yeah. Because they took psychology, or they took something they really can't use.
Stop, my daughter's a junior.
Yeah.
I know what's coming.
Dude, she's not going to get rid of Todd next door.
Yeah.
No.
But trade schools are coming back, and now all of a sudden, through work of a lot of people, it's okay to do a trade. It's okay to be an electrician. It's okay to be a plumber. It's okay to be
the pendulum has swung back.
Yeah,
you're so right.
It's coming back. And, dirty jobs has probably helped some of that.
That's what I was going to say. You got to get micro involved in it somehow.
But that's definitely come back. And, what I found, like, again, I go back and talk, I went to San Gabriel High School in Southern California. San Gabriel High School, Alhambra High School, Marquepo High School are all part of the same district, and they all have auto shops. I went to San Gabriel High, took auto shop there. But those auto shop programs are like 70 years old now. I mean, they've been going on every year, and I speak at them every year. And the kids want to be involved. It's the parents you got to convince. The parents a lot of times are like...
They think they're making a bad life choice.
Yeah. And so, and I've had students say to me, would you talk to my parents? Because I love this industry. I want to find a way to make it. And if you're passionate enough and if you drive hard enough, I mean, I have a story of a woman that her parents made her go be a doctor, and she went through 4 years of medical school and finally rebelled against her parents and wanted to go to the automotive sector. And she's been very successful at it.
It's interesting. I never thought about it that way of approaching that pitch at the parents. I guess you'd have to just do it and show success stories.
Right.
You'd have to show this is how much this guy's made.
Yeah.
Right. He's 23 years old. He's making X. Right. He has no debt. Right? Or no college debt.
Granted, he spent X on race cars.
It's
all going.
Dude, top level.
He's got a platinum F350 in a race car.
You're not helping my argument. but it's look, if you're passionate about, I mean, all of us, right? If you're passionate about what you do, you'll find ways to success.
Of course.
And if you work hard enough at it, and it's not going to come easy. You know, you can't come into any of this and think you're going to work 8 to 5 days a week or less, and not be a student of the industry.
Yeah.
But if you roll up your sleeves and you do something about it, you can be successful in it. I'm convinced of that. We've all seen it.
Oh, that's interesting. That's got my wheels turning on, hitting it from that aspect of showing that it's a viable career to the parents.
I mean, think it just trades in general. Like if you look at our customer base on the car build side, they're all, I mean, very, very successful guys. And just thinking as I'm kind of running through each one of those customers in my head, every single one of them came from some sort of a trade.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of car builds for doctors or lawyers or
No,
yeah, construction guys.
Yeah, they're guys that started as a plumber, started as a framing carpenter or electrician,
welder,
finish fabricator.
Yeah,
every one of there's not one that
Tag
isn't.
it from that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go into the trades. You can be a future Roadster Shop customer. It's a completely different
There's
way.
an ad in there somewhere. Right. So I went creative license.
We got to keep the customer base.
Yeah, you got some dry cups over here.
Yeah, we got to get a little bit
Yeah,
more.
that's interesting.
I was slacking on my job.
What do you see out there? You've been at SEMA shows for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it's from late 70s, right?
Yeah, 79 was my first
79?
show. So I think that's 44 years now.
On the business side of things, but whether you be a manufacturer, whether you be a builder, whether, any of the different businesses, manufacturers, and members of SEMA that show up lately in the last 10 years, what do you see that you think companies should be doing a better job of for their own personal benefit?
Yeah, I think you can kind of get into a wash and repeat mode if you're not careful at SEMA, right? And so, we do an event in Las Vegas in the summer for our manufacturers that'll come in and we'll walk them through everything you should do for the show.
I've been there. Done it.
And look, I've gone to it. I've gone to it after, being in the business 25, 30 years, but really planning. I mean, one of the simple things you can do is say, okay, if I think I'm going to spend 15 minutes with every customer, then I can do 4 an hour, right? So I can do 32 customers a day. So I can do 120 customers during the week. Well, if I want to see more than that, how many more people do I have to add to my booth, right?
That's good thinking.
And that's not even thinking about lunches, and some customers are going to be there an hour or whatever it might be. So, really planning for the show and understanding what your game plan is. As a buyer, you can get lost. I mean, you can, you couldn't see the show. I think you could spend something like 30 seconds in every booth to try to get through the show. So you really got to plan and say, what am I interested in? Looking in advance and seeing what there is. Understanding who your customer base is. What is it you really want to show off? The show itself, if you think about the show itself, it's still an inexpensive way to go because you guys are going to see several hundred customers in that 4 days. You could never spend enough money to get around to 400 customers in a year. I mean, think about what you'd spend to fly to go see people and do all that sort of work, right?
Throw a party and say free drinks. And
but having said that, it's still expensive. So think about your square footage. Think about, if you're going to put a car in your space, great, but understand how much space that's going to take, right? It's going to take 17 or 18 feet. What's that costing you? Which products do you want to put on the wall? What do you really want to show off? What new products do you want to sell? What's your customer base looking for? And, that's what you want to show off. So just really kind of thinking through every step of it. And we go through that in these seminars.
You do a great job.
Yeah,
and it's awesome going there too, especially for anybody that's done it, that's new to it. You might have exhibited a couple of times, but go into it and getting that familiarity with some of the key people, from Freeman, from some security, even just a number here or there or something like that. You get a couple of questions, but you almost have that sense of security when you go into it, like probably not going to have any problems. But if I have some problems, I got like 4 to 5 different people. I know exactly who to call, how to call, because it's intimidating. Right. If you don't have any contacts, right? Yeah. You've dealt with your salesperson. Now you're there and you're like, oh shit, I need a screwdriver. I forgot I needed power.
Tape,
something like that.
So we're going to put Mike's personal cell phone at the bottom of this.
Oh, trust me, it happens. I can't tell you how many calls I get at midnight about, hey, I just got here with my car and I know loading's done I know the show's in 4 hours or 6 hours, but I got to get my car in the booth.
Just check the scrolling number along your screen right now, and that's Mike's cell phone.
That happens. You're supposed to have your car loaded in by Sunday or Monday, and Monday night at midnight, we're getting calls to say, we just got here. We got to get our car in the booth.
Those are generally celebrities.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit of a TV show thing.
Yeah.
It's Richard Rollins coming in at Tuesday.
You might have to bend the rules every once in a
Open the
while.
doors back up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so
you're
awesome.
right. Dealing with Selena, we've had our rep. It's been
Oh, man.
She's great, isn't she?
help.
Yeah, she's just a rock star.
Yeah. Made our lives
Shout
a million
out to
times
Selena.
easier.
Well, she's got to be the hardest working person there. No offense to people that I'm going to offend.
No, but don't talk about her too much. You'll want to raise. So.
She gets
great.
after it.
Yeah.
She gets after it.
No, she's great. She's great. We love her.
She, and not to toot her horn that much, but she is one of the very few people in all industries that we deal with that will call, and first thing she says is like, "Hey, I'm about to tell you a problem, but I've got 2 solutions for it."
That's awesome.
And it's the first thing I'm like, "Oh, great, that's awesome." So okay, well, tell me the solutions, and I'll figure out the problem. Like I can guess based on the solutions, I'll know what the problem is.
Yeah, she rocks.
Yeah, that's great. We have been doing some retooling just internally with staff. And, as some of us retire or move on to other jobs, we're really taking our time to, number one, find car people, or people that understand the industry or hungry, those sort of things. And while we're a trade association, we really are in some areas of business, right? I mean, the SEMA show is a business, our SEMA data is a business, the garage is a business, even our membership is a business. So people from the business sector that really understand how to take care of customers, people that are from the car industry that understand, what you guys go through, has been really key to us. And, I can get criticized sometimes about taking too long to fill a job, but I really take my time to try to find the great person, right? We just hired a new CFO. Our CFO is retiring, and the poor guy that we did hire, 39-year-old guy, starts next week. We put him through 10 interviews. I mean, we just really worked this guy to make sure that he was the right guy.
And you just wanted to see if he'd still take the job after 10 interviews.
Well, here's what I figure on some of these guys. If you take a CFO, so Ryan's got his CPA, he's an MBA, he's obviously a CFO right now at another company. I'm going to guess he knows how to count the beans. I'm looking to see how he fits with the rest of us and what his personality is like, and can he help others, in our company and bring them along. And, and he told me a couple of stories about how he, in his current job, goes out on sales calls and works with the sales team and helps understand the financial impact of bringing on a new customer. And that was like magic to me. I mean, I've never had a CFO that will go out and make sales calls, but the culture and the fit to me is really, really critical. And, how we treat you guys when you call in and all that sort of thing. So we're revamping even our membership and customer service department right now. I want to find somebody from Nordstrom or the Wynn Hotel or American Express that really understands customer service, so we can elevate our customer service areas and even our software, so that when you guys call us, that you get a great experience every time. And so there's a few key elements like that as we kind of move, I'm looking for people that are going to take this thing the next 10 years and what that's going to look like. But
That's
really
great.
Trying to improve the experience that you get, whether it's at the show or whether you're calling in or whether it's a council deal or SEMA data or any other tools we offer. And a lot of it's going to have to do with software. We're putting, over the next 2 years, we're putting $2 million into new software and systems and programs and all that.
To send more emails.
Yeah, just to send more emails. Oh, trust me, that is a.
I know we talked about
Yeah,
this.
the last week.
Hey, they've gotten better.
Yeah, Rhode Island now has a new license plate with.
It is.
To speak to your point, though, you guys have done a tremendous job, and the staff really has, because there's a visible difference in the interactions in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, you feel, ever since dealing with Selena, you feel like you're a part of it, right? You feel like you've got somebody. It doesn't feel so big and so cold because it's very personal at that point. Prior to her, it kind of felt like it's just this monster entity and we're nobody. And it's like, just maybe we'll get into
it's not
this.
right. A lot of trade associations are almost like a government program, right?
Right.
And you can get that way. You can get sloppy with how you spend your money. You can get sloppy on how you treat people and all of that. because it can be a little, it's not a monopoly, but it kind of feels that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And we always have to be hungry, right? We always have to treat, we call them members, but you're really customers. Yep. You can choose to come to the SEMA show or not. And, and you guys spend some money there, and we got to make sure you're well taken care of. And really, at the end, all the stuff we're doing with government regulations and training and all these sort of things, the goal is to make you guys grow and prosper. The more you guys grow and the more you prosper, the more our industry grows.
Bigger booth you can buy, the more
right.
sponsorship you can buy.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, that's not a bad thing.
You could build me a C10, all those sort of things.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
And you got
we all rise.
Yeah,
that's right.
100%. We all rise.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
If we talked, about this on the education side, you talked about this on what other business could do better to better utilize SEMA. Specifically, take the SEMA hat off for just a second, as best you can. Right? I know you're professional, right? You got it. You've been dealing with all these damn politicians, and
that's why I love hanging out with you guys. I do still have a little bit of reason in my neck.
We don't do things like other fucking podcasts. This ain't about just all roses. So you looking at SEMA from going there to spending money on booth through, all the companies to now top, right? You did SEMA Garage, your CEO, president, going back at any point in time, with the benefit of hindsight being what it is, what do you think that SEMA should have done better or focused on earlier than they did?
Yeah, again, I think it's probably in a few areas we were probably a little late to game, even in this carb stuff and getting carb EOs done and getting the SEMA Garage lit. And that's why I'm passionate now about what we're doing with ADOS, what we're doing with these advanced driving systems. We're the only game in town across the U.S. that's doing this research now on ADOS work and doing dynamic testing, and we're spending a ton of money at it. But that's going to be the next. We talk about avalanches that are about to come down the hill, and that's probably the next one. But I think that we could grow our industry better. We're 3,000 manufacturers, but I'm anxious to understand how many manufacturers are really out there. We don't have good research on that. So I think we can do better at that. We don't know how many retailers are out there. We really don't. I want to better understand the issues that you guys are going through. That stuff kind of rises up. And when we get a call from you guys, we get a few of those calls, we know, but we could do a lot better market research of understanding what that looks like. We were probably late to the game in raising our voices in some of this government regulation stuff. So, we've got a really sharp board now. You guys met Norris. He's just awesome.
Yep. Good dude.
We've got, some really hands-on big business people that know what they're doing, and we can feed off of them better. I think we can be more attentive. Again, it can be, our team's really hungry now. And even in the last 20 years, the team's done really great, but I think just waking us up to being a lot more hungry about the things we do and how we treat people, giving you better answers, understanding your business is better. I want to spend, I've been out on the road a lot lately, I guess, but I want to do more of that. I want to hear from you guys. I want to see what's going on. I really just want to check out cool cars and talk car stuff and all that. No,
there's a hidden agenda there, of
course. No, just continuing to listen to our customer and finding more Salinas out there, right?
Yeah.
Good luck.
How's that going?
Yeah.
Because staffing's tough. Everywhere.
Yeah. What I did find, we're looking for a CTO now. We're looking for a few things. COVID really screwed us up. Man, it screwed us up. Trying to get people to come to
in
work.
The head.
Oh,
it screwed us up in the head.
When you talk to people, it's like, wait, you guys come to the office? Yeah. Like, yeah, we come to the office. I really see us as a relational business. We're not transactional. We are people buy from people. It's about relationships. I never want to stop the Monday morning cooler talk, about what happened at a race over the weekend or a football game.
That's what this whole industry is.
Right. And our staff, I want them to do that. I want them to have that interaction. We're working really hard now as this, I call it an enterprise, but we've got all these different divisions within SEMA. And they've been sort of siloed over the years. You know, when I ran the SEMA garages, I only thought about the SEMA garages, and I really didn't even understand our full financial impact. I didn't know what our total budget was because I was only concerned about the garage. And we're working as an enterprise now and really understanding together. So, for example, when we had to present our budgets last week to the board. We're fiscally July through June, and we built our budgets as a team. So, you know, the marketing budget came up and we had to review it as a team. So our SEMA data reviewed that budget, our garage interviewed the show team, and we all worked together to better understand each other so that if, let's say councils, I mean, you've been involved with councils, if they want to go do something, what's the impact on marketing? How many more emails have to go out, right? Those sort of things. So really working as an enterprise, kind of going forward and kind of having a team that pulls all in the same room together and understanding how we each affect each other's business is really critical to me. And it's really working out. It was really cool to see how we agreed on the budgets and agreed on the programs that we could get done this year. And that really made a big difference. So I'm really excited about that. And again, just getting these young entrepreneurs. And I mean, RJ, who runs our marketing team, you know, he was in the first Fast and Furious movie, but he came from McGuire's 13 years experience. The work he's doing in marketing now, I mean, I don't understand all that stuff. I don't understand social media and all those sort of things, but you get the right people in place and you let them run. That's it. And they, you know, Tom G, who runs our show, is he's a student of the show industry. I mean, he really is a student of the show industry.
He's great.
Understands. He goes to other trade shows and talks to other trade shows and understands things they're doing and, you know, all of that stuff. So, you know, really getting enthusiastic people there that want to make a difference, that care, and you let them run, let them run, get out of their way.
You've done a fantastic job. The team that you've put together, you've seen we talked about it a year and a half or so ago about what's the step for social media. Phil brought it up. You talked about, like, it feels like there's a missed opportunity there to promote, right? Yeah. They've been doing a really good job at that. Yeah. It's a visual difference. I mean, followers, you can see the engagement. Yeah. It was a barren landscape, you know, not too long ago. You've done a great job there. Tom Gattuso is awesome. Everything, the way the show, there are a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Anybody that's been listening, they've understood what SEMA does for its members, what SEMA, the show, does for manufacturers, right? If you're building a part, so you're selling your wares, you're doing the thing, it's kind of a given. You understand what the benefit is. From a builder standpoint, most builders understand what the benefit is, right? It's a platform. It's the deadline. It's the time that you got to get the show done. You've got all these exhibitors and vendors that need a car. You're doing awesome stuff with Battle of the Builders. So it gives the builders their thing, right? It's the Super Bowl. Yeah. You've put the Super Bowl on for them to compete against each other. There's all different awards. There's all stuff. From a retailer standpoint, right? Say your mom, now there's not many of them, right? Super Shops is gone. Yeah. Right? It's all the stuff.
No, there's still a lot out there.
There's still a lot out there, right? It's not the conglomerates anymore. So it's a mom and pop, and they are vital to their community, right? They're the guy that goes down and, you know, fills the nitrous bottle. They're going to go in and they're buying intake, or they're going to buy the stuff. There's still brick and mortar stuff. What is the benefit what can SEMA do for those guys, besides allowing them to become buyers and go and meet stuff like that? What's the benefit?
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, it starts with the SEMA show and as buyers, but that's an area we've got to still do a lot of work on. I will tell you that we're spending more focus on it. Probably the number one tool that they can have is SEMA data. So their ability to look up parts and put their parts onto a website. I mean, we really make that seamless now. So aces and pies and all that sort of stuff, right? I mean, if you've got, when I had my business, I had 3,200 part numbers. So having the ability to say, what's the make, model, year, what's the size of the box, what are the features and the benefits of the product and all that, SEMA data puts all that into an electronic form so that when you're on your phone and you want to look up a part, it comes up.
What does that cost a business?
So for a manufacturer, it depends on how many SKUs you have, but for a retailer, it starts at $25 a month. And so you can have up to 600 brands of all this data, hundreds of thousands of part numbers, millions of pieces of data that help you sell products. So that's probably the number one deal. Certainly education comes into it. You know, we've got some other benefit things for UPS and for I mean, we've got a deal where you can buy Oakley sunglasses at a discount, right? So there's all these different discount programs, but I think we can still do better there for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
You'd have to think that for guys like that, their biggest benefit is the SEMA show.
Yeah.
Like they need to be out there,
this idea
walking the show
of giving better HR information, giving them better, what are the tools they need to run their business and how do they run it better? Giving them sales training tools, giving them the ability to market better. Again, you mentioned it. We're doing a pretty good job now on social media with our stuff. How do we make those retailers understand that better?
Sure.
And do it for their local community, right? How can we refer more people to them to buy products? So I'm anxious to do that. We're going to spend the next couple of years really building out the both the manufacturer side and the retailer side, because we know there's 30,000 retail shops out there, right? Yeah. Where are they? How do we get to them?
Sure.
Whether they come to the SEMA show or not, we always want to build the SEMA show and we want to continue to do that. Some of those guys can't get out of their shops. So, how do we make them understand the regulations, what they're selling, how does it fit, give them product data, training them on tools and those sorts of things. I think that's an area we can grow in for sure. And by the way, as they become more involved with our industry, hey guys, I need you to pick up the phone and call your local legislator.
There you go.
I need you to, this important issue is coming up. Make sure that we vote, right? That one voice. I keep talking about this one voice, even with councils. We got to have one voice on certain products.
Good luck with the councils having one voice.
So
good luck.
So a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of personality people, but some great people in there. Gather some great people.
Are there other networking events that SEMA puts together kind of around the country to, maybe you can't make it to the SEMA show, you can have something somewhat more local or even an online deal to connect these smaller retailers with distributors, buyers?
Yeah, I think we can do a better job at that again. One of the things that we do well is we put on trade shows really well. I really think we've got a great trade show team. So are there other opportunities to do more of those regionally? And I talked to the board about that last week. So it's just a small speckle of an idea right now, but can we do more of those sort of things?
What was their temperature on that?
I think I think there's opportunities. I think if there's opportunities to grow and build our business, we're pretty lucky. We've got a decent, war chest, and we save some of that obviously for government work. But if there were some other opportunities to buy some things, I think we would do that.
You just said something, and I want to ask. You just said, there's other opportunities to grow our business.
Yep.
For years, it's been, we're an organization. We're not a business.
Right.
When did that shift?
I think,
or first of all, when did y'all start owning it? Because it shifted on.
I just see it that way. And I guess maybe that's just my years in business. I know
it is. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, and I get corrected sometimes, but, because we're a nonprofit, we are a trade association. We got it, but we can operate better as a business for sure, right? And again, we have all these separate businesses, but to me that means treating the customer better. To me that means looking at everything with a metrics. One of the easiest things I could point to a few years ago, we have this international program that was great for its time. It did really well with helping manufacturers go overseas and do products and those sort of things, but when we looked at how many people were really using it and what the cost of it was, it didn't make sense. So we shut that down and said, okay, that was an $800,000 a year program. And we said, for the amount of members using it, we're not using our members' money correctly. And so let's reallocate that money to some other areas and make sure that we're giving better benefit to our members. And I'm really keen on making sure that everything's got a metrics. There's a lot of great ideas out there, but it's really, what is the uptake? How many members are using it? It may not even make financial sense. We run the garages at a deficit, but look how much work they're doing for our members. So, that's what makes sense. So you guys own SEMA. SEMA's owned by its members. So, the goal is always, how do we take the money we make off the trade show? How do we take the money that we make off dues and some of the other things that we do and reinvest that to help you guys grow.
Start paying dividends to the members.
So, well, let's not go that crazy. So, no, it's, again, how do we help our members? Right. And, but it is, you can get sloppy if you don't think of things in terms of business and metrics. I mean, it's real easy to say, we can sit back and this thing can go on autopilot.
Well, I think it also sent a mixed message for years when the consumer facing message was one thing, but you had to run it like a business, right? So there was things, and you're like, hey, quit telling me that.
Yeah,
like I get it. Just own it.
Right.
Just own the fact that it costs a shit ton of money to do all these things that we're all bitching and begging for.
Yeah.
Right. So just own it, and it's just let's all work together. So I think that's refreshing and nice to see over the last few years.
Yeah, I'm big on that, and it is even just a change of culture inside, and people are getting it. I mean, the work that we've done now for 2 years in a row now on our budgets and what that looks like, and is it a nice to have or a need to have? I mean, I ask that every week. Is it a nice to have or a need to have? And we're going to be adding some bodies this year. We're adding about 20 more staff members, and that came down from 30 is what people asked for, but we're going to add 20. And for every single body that we're adding, it's like, what do you expect them? I want in writing what you expect them to accomplish their first year. What are the metrics? How are we going to measure it? How are we going to look at it back in a year from now? And what did they do to contribute to our business, to our membership, right? That's going to make a difference.
Right.
And that's just a change in culture that I think is starting to take place, and our staff gets it.
What is SEMA, the organization, and SEMA show? I get the SEMA show and what its importance is. What is SEMA? What is their drive to survive? What is the thing? We've all seen what F1 has done strictly because of a damn Netflix show.
Yep.
And it was brilliant and genius, and it's been amazing and awesome. What's that thing? And I know the show is broad reaching. There's people all over the place. We go in, I mean, my son, 17 years old, he'll be 18 a few weeks after SEMA, but he's going to SEMA. I've already told you I'm breaking the rules. So he's coming.
Is he using your badge?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Is he the spouse?
He's a spouse. But it's broad reaching. So I know social media plays a part. I know the show itself and all that. But you have your eyes on a thing that's going to really take it more mainstream. Yeah. Again, I think, look, this industry is huge. Again, we talked about what our numbers are. I think it can be bigger. There are a lot of passionate people out there. I've said it before. I think we could solve world peace if we just talk cars. I've been across the world. I've been. There's a picture of me in Dubai where everybody's in their white garb, and I'm dressed like this, and I'm standing in the stands with all these guys, and it's a little bit of where's Waldo, right? But you go up there and you can be a little intimidated at first, but when you start talking cars, it's just this passionate industry, right? And it's a lifestyle, and I think we have to look at it as a lifestyle. I think SEMA is a lifestyle, and how do we protect and how do we grow our lifestyle? We're competing, I look at it, we're competing for dollars, right? I mean, if you think about the consumer, he could either go buy another set of golf clubs or he could go buy you name the part, right? And so we're competing for dollars in those areas. We're competing for a lifestyle, but there's a lot of, we talk about doctors and lawyers on that, but I've been to parties where there's doctors that...
It's not a fun party.
Yeah.
Well, those are car guys.
If you do find that now, they tend to have the 930 Carrera, right?
Exactly.
But they still have some passion for that thing, right? They still have that dream. They 100%. Still have, we all had that car we wanted growing up, right? We all had that vehicle that we wanted that we're now buying that we're...
The cars certainly unite. It absolutely unites people.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the industry, I think we're still in our infancy. I think we can double at least the size of SEMA, and we're doing some research work to understand what that looks like. And we're going to be putting a lot of time and effort to just get more people in our community for a lot of reasons, but to make sure we got that one voice and continue to let that passion and that industry and that drive go on.
What genre or what subset of enthusiasts do you think is left out of the SEMA show right now? Because you got big trucks, right? Yep. Muscle cars and hot rods been ruling it forever. Yep. Imports, since the 90s.
Yep.
Right. You've got donks for the last 3 or 4 years.
It's
right.
swamp buggies and swamp buggy guys just start in the limelight.
Well,
Carolina, the squat, Carolina squat.
You got everything with the,
stay home.
the off-road activation with all the trophy trucks coming in. You've got Optima, streetcar invitational. So you got race cars. You got
all the overlandings exploding.
Overlanding is
exploding. My son's in overlanding.
Golly, that's 100,000 square foot of the new hall.
Yep.
That's west. Is that west?
West Hall. Yep. So I think
what,
it's just,
what genre are you missing?
What genre is left, or what genre is coming up, or what genre do you think that SEMA needs to go after?
I think it's more of everything. But you mentioned Japanese cars. The Japanese cars are showing up at our show, but the manufacturers aren't necessarily showing up. So I think there's work to be done in the manufacturer side to get them more involved. Certainly, overlanding, as hot as it is, I think it's going to continue to grow. You said it. Last year was the first year we had a lowrider in SEMA Central, and I want to make sure we're more inviting to the lowrider community, right? And just to even expanding. I mean, that can even get into race, right? That can get into just making sure that everybody feels welcome, and at our show. And I don't know that we've always. I don't think there's even that prejudice out there, just to put the
I don't
cards on
think
the
it's
table.
anything that from SEMA, and I don't think there's prejudice. You got to understand, it's 95% 40-year-old white dudes.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
It doesn't look like the most invited.
Yeah, so how do we make sure other cultures are invited? I think I'm big on that, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that they feel welcome, make sure they feel included. Again, I mean, if those guys are all buying 22-inch wheels, and you've got a couple of lowriders here. I mean,
I love the lowrider stuff. Yeah. I mean, that is a wildly talented.
It's an underappreciated art.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the most underappreciated, I think, in the entire automotive aftermarket, because the talent.
Peterson's appreciating the
crazy,
shit out of it.
crazy.
They're
Yeah,
fixing to
they
launch
sure
that new.
So I got to tell you, I was talking to the guys at Terry Cargus at Peterson when they did that lowrider display a couple of years ago. It was the number, from a consumer standpoint, #1 display that they've ever had of all vehicles, of hot rods, of import cars, of tuner cars.
This new one launches in a week, something like that.
Yeah.
Close.
I think it's
That's
like the
gonna be-
truest form of like rolling art, because
Yeah.
it's art. It truly is
literally
artwork.
is rolling art. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're going to really. It's not about the driving experience or the performance.
No, it's art.
It's art.
No, it's art.
100% art.
The paint work that goes into those things, and the
It's like
etching
3D tattoos.
right?
Like it's
The etching on frames and all that's going on is just crazy
cool.
stuff. Yeah. And look, and as much as we bash EVs a little bit, there's a generation of young kids that are building EVs, right? That are doing conversion kits. Last year we had about 50 suppliers of electric motor guys, and it used to be you had to take the guts out of a Tesla, but now there's
if they'd make
manufacturers.
more noise, you'd hear them. Like they're just so quiet. We don't know they're there.
Borla's done that. Have you seen what Borla's done?
yeah,
Borla's got a deal that can make your Tesla sound like a.
I wonder how that's selling. Be curious.
I bet it's selling better than you think.
Probably.
Some things just forget the money. Like,
Yeah.
I love Borla, but
but there's for sure there's a generation that is taking. We were working with a 14-year-old young lady last year that has bought a 914 that wants to convert to an EV. So
Hey. She's getting her hands dirty. She's building something. She's doing something.
Yeah, and this
after
girl
it.
is doing. She's got a series of videos out on YouTube, and she's showing how she did the bodywork herself. She's showing how she's converting this whole vehicle, and she's finding, the battery component guy and the electric motor guy and the all the controller guys and that sort of thing. And she's building this car so that when she's 16, she wants to drive it to the beach. And her goal is to go to the beach with a surfboard and drive this Porsche 914 there. So I think there's going to be that segment too, that we're going to see more, and some people will call that sacrilegious, but I also look at it saying that, those are the hot rods.
If you're building it and modifying it, by all means,
Get after it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, continuing this theme of this podcast, I started out with some unfactually unfactually based theories, right? So I've given some dumb questions, right? So now I'm going to give some unsolicited advice.
Okay.
You're giving advice.
You mentioned the OEs. You mentioned the OEs and some of the Japanese manufacturers, some of the stuff. That's not just for the Japanese manufacturers. A lot of OEs are pulling out. I'm telling you what, it's not too late. I know you've already done some booth selection, right? We looked at it. We got a great spot. Luckily, there's a lot of spots out there that you're seeing some OEs. Make the rule right now, no OEs allowed.
Is that
Just
right?
make the rule and say you can't come. Because I guarantee you,
they're going to want to come.
you tell them they can't come 2024, they'll
be back.
all line up for
we
2025.
actually, I think we have 7 back this year.
Really?
Yeah. So they are coming back.
I'd like to have Jim Farley on the podcast, but I'd also like to hear you tell him, just guess what? You didn't come back this year, don't come back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're going to come back 25. That's fine.
So, Ford was back last year. They came back and they were in the West Hall and they weren't the size they used to be, but Toyota took that spot. I think Honda's back this year. Nissan's back.
Can Toyota can stay there. Just do everything blue. It fucks up the system where you're walking through. They can see Toyota. They just need it blue.
You know, people still refer to it as the Ford booth.
It's unfortunate. Well, it's great for Ford, but as soon as you walk in, it kind of just starts. It's like not having a coffee in the morning.
Yeah. It's like home, you know?
Yeah.
Or like a vacation house. You
And
go there,
Farley's such a car guy.
Somebody move the fucking couch. Somebody move the couch.
Yeah, I saw Farley last year at Pebble Beach, when he ran Laguna. And,
I'm intrigued by him.
Yeah, he runs a Cobra. He runs a lot of race cars. He's a car guy. He's definitely a car guy.
I think he's the best of the American OE CEOs by far out there right now.
Yeah, cool guy, for sure. Yeah, we'd like to get him back too. We'd like to get him on a panel. I'm actually got asked to do a panel at Pebble Beach this year on the future of automotive technology. And Jim, if you're out there, we've asked you to come be part of that panel, so I hope you will.
I think we're supposed to be going to Pebble Beach.
I was saying we can ask Jim when you have him on the podcast. Josh is working on something.
I won't be able to get him. I didn't know. He's got his own podcast now.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
So
he's not going on anybody's podcast.
But we're going to have an EV guy. We're going to have somebody from one of the oil companies. We're going to have somebody from a hydrogen group. We're going to have a couple different people, and we're going to talk about automotive technology and the future of propulsion. And what's that look like? And I almost wanted it to be a debate, but we're going to do it.
It sounds like it could turn into a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Everybody's got to drop their guard and stop being so nice.
Yeah,
and actually give your opinion, but listen to somebody else's opinion.
Right. And I think everybody knows again that all these technologies are going to go forward, and ICE engines are going to be around for a long time. I mean, a long time. And so anyway, we're going to have that almost debate there. It's going to be Thursday at Pebble Beach. I guess I'm moderating it. And, anyway, at Peterson, we're working with the Peterson Museum on it. It's going to be a cool deal. So
We'll have to come check that out.
Yeah.
Are we going?
We're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
You got your fancy pants picked up?
Huh? Yeah.
Do you know how to drink tea with your pinky up?
I don't know how to do that. No. I've made it my whole life by being well out of my element, and
all of us.
everybody know it. So I'm not going to change it now.
No, it's a cool. I went last year.
Who
and
let
it
the
was just,
redneck in?
Yeah, it's just an amazing place. And you know, we talked about this earlier when we were walking around the shop. But you kind of get numb to how many just.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a at the event last year. There had to be 12, 15, 959 Porsches there, and you walk by them and they're like, those got to be knockoffs. Somebody's knocking that thing off. Those can't be all real. And they were all real. I mean, and you're like, seriously?
Wow.
There's that many of these vehicles here. And I mean,
It's crazy.
You know, you'll see the hotel I was staying in, there was a Ferrari F40 parked in the street at night. And when it came out in the morning, it was still parked in the street. like it wasn't even garaged.
It wasn't Chicago then.
Yeah, it was.
That's your car there, Ford there.
I love an F40.
It sat out on the street all night. But that's just, you get numb to how crazy that place is, right?
I get it. We just came from the Bruce's doing a podcast. We had Bruce Canepa and Bruce Meyer.
Bruce
Oh,
Square.
you did, yeah.
And
Bruce Squares.
you get so numb to it because each car is like more valuable and like more rare.
Yeah.
I love both those guys. Just ambassadors for our industry. And
They're
both great guys.
amazing dudes.
Yeah.
What's crazy on the numbness side, like you said, you get numb because of their individual collections, right? Yep. Which is absolutely amazing. And it's so crazy. Well, then you leave, Bruce Meyer's place, right? We're looking at all this stuff. We had a great episode. We look at amazing stuff. He's a great host. We leave, we're going to go dinner. You're on Rodeo Drive, right?
Right.
Well, you've got nothing but the craziest of the crazy driving by, and it's just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, you have no idea what we just saw.
Right.
Like,
You know what's cool about both the guys? And Bruce Meyer, you know, I live in Southern California. I can go to any Cars and Coffee on a Saturday or Sunday. Bruce is there.
Really?
I mean, he shows up at just the smallest, coolest deal. I'm sure I'm going to see him this weekend at an event at Benedict Castle that Barry McGuire puts on. But that guy just shows up everywhere, right? And he'll be in a cowboy hat and
that's cool.
a shirt and pants, and
you'd
never know, who he is and what kind of collection he's got.
What's his car of choice when he's showing up at an event like that?
I don't know. I always just see him there.
Yeah, you don't see that. You don't see what he came in.
But he, I'm sure it's something
he's so
cool.
split 50-50 between the hot rod stuff and just the unbelievably rare, nobody else can have it kind of stuff.
Yeah. He's got just, well, you guys saw it, right?
I was just amazed at both him and Bruce Canepa as well. This so unbelievably accommodating,
right,
and nice.
Yeah.
Like we had great down to earth conversations, and just a awesome time.
Yeah, they're both that way.
Another interview that we did that just made me feel like a worse person after it. I mean, it's just a way better person.
Has there been one yet that you have?
Yeah, what victories have you had?
I'm not going to say which ones. There's been a couple I left here. I'm like, my chest broke down. Like, yeah, that dude sucked. I was way better than him.
I hope it's not the guy to your left right now.
There's only been a couple. It's been rare.
No, they're cool dudes, and they're car guys, and they're not pretentious.
Yeah.
Not, it's amazing. I spent some time with even Jay Leno, and Jay will, he'll show his collection off, but if you're pretentious at all, he'll ask you to leave.
Really?
Yeah. Like he's not into guys that own $1 million cars just because they can own a $1 million car. He's that guy. You walk her through a shop, he knows more about cars than I'll ever know. And his collection, he'll tell you who built the chassis and who the designer of the car was, and why is the horse on the Mustang face a different way than it does on the Bronco, right? And who was the designer behind that car? Yeah, and all that sort of technical detail. He's just a real car guy. I mean, look, he's had a couple accidents from from either trying to start up a car or riding his bike or something, but just another he's unpretentious car guy.
He seems great. We had a small interaction with him. He reached out, and I had a message to call him back that he was looking for help on his 32 Roadster that he thought, I think we've told the story before, but he thought we built it. We didn't build it, but at any rate, I'm looking at him like, Josh is the people person. So I'm like, Josh, I got a message from Jay Leno. Why don't you call him back? And he calls him, and it's just like, just some dude.
Yeah.
Jay's just...
Yeah.
He called back a couple of times after that. I remember
it was just a dude.
Yeah. Just chatting it up.
Yeah.
Where's the switch at on this thing?
I remember like this. I don't know if I told this story. This was probably 5 years ago or something. And I was out with my wife. We were at our house. I was up with my wife, and we were doing something in the yard, like normal, just
suburban
things,
stuff.
right? You're just doing stuff. And I think I was a little aggravated about having to do whatever it was. And I'm sure it was a honey-do list, right? And she's out there, and I get a phone call, and I look, and because I talked to him before, I saved his number. It was, and it says Jay Leno, right? So I'm kind of aggravated, and I show her the phone. So I get up and I take the phone, right? And it was something, hey, asking about this. And we talked for maybe 5 minutes, right? Super nice. Hang it up. I'm like, yeah, you got me out here. We're pulling weeds or whatever. And Jay Leno's trying to get in touch with me, right? Yeah. It wasn't 10 minutes later, and it was Chip Foose.
Oh, yeah.
Same guy, right? I'm like, and I talked to him. We talked for like 15 minutes. We're real close with Chip. And so I look at her, and I'm just like, I'm going to have to go in. Like, the amount of people that are calling me, and you're going to have to hire somebody to pull these weeds.
Kind of a big deal.
But again, that's his industry, right? Down to earth guys. And we all
She didn't care, by the way. She was like,
I know. Oh, trust me, I know. I know. My wife's great as well, but she doesn't get, when
we got stuff to do.
Yeah, big name people call, it's like they put their pants on just like you do. And she's right?
Yeah.
But, we've seen those pretentious guys. We've seen those, but they tend to get weeded out. And we love to spend our time with people that are real, that enjoy this industry, that, really get it. And they may have money, and they may have possessions, but they're still car people, right? And they still share that passion that we share, and that love and that desire to carry on, and that what's that next car I don't own, sort of thing. And it's just great. It's just what makes us all hang out, right? And there's no pretentiousness there.
Well, before we get into our standard question, we got one last one. You were just opening up the Detroit SEMA garage.
Yeah.
When we were on here last. So how's that thing going? Rocking and rolling?
It's rocking. You guys got to get up there if you haven't yet. It's 45,000 square feet of just pure, beautiful bliss, right?
Yeah.
And Roger Penske would be happy as how clean it is, sort of thing. So it's but we've got a state of the art lab. We've got a dyno room that's all-wheel drive, 2,500 horsepower. In the dyno room, it'll exchange the air 4 times a minute. I mean, it's just this huge ability to exchange the air, so that you've always got clean air when you're doing real dyno work, right? We can set the temperature. So we can get real dyno numbers, horsepower dyno numbers up to 2,500 horsepower. Missions lab is state of the art. It is exactly the same equipment and the same setup as CARB and EPA use. Very expensive. What I'm really proud of is our ADAS lab. So, what's going on now with all these advanced driver systems, self-braking and lane change departure warning, and all those technologies that are on these vehicles, we're studying what happens when you lift and lower a vehicle. And so we've got all this static and dynamic testing. I mean, to give you an idea how anal this thing was, to get to absolute, as engineers, you always want to be at absolute zero, right? So the floor, 5,000 square feet of our facility is for ADAS Center. The floor can't be more than 1 degree off. So we had to cut out 5,000 square feet of floor, 8 inches thick, and re-pour that floor so that it was exactly.
They nail it the first time?
They nailed it the first time, yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to see how that process goes down.
Yeah, and then the color of the walls had to be a certain color, and the color of the lights had to be a certain color, and all of that. Then we brought in all the same equipment that Ford uses and the OEs use, and then and with the aftermarket. So we've got, for ADAS testing, we've got 6 different aftermarket machines. We've got Bosch's and we got Snap-ons and all of that, so that we can compare data as we're doing static testing on what those cameras are seeing. And then we just did a deal where we took a new Chevy truck, we tested it at stock height, and then we did a leveling kit. We did a 3-inch kit and we did a 6-inch kit. And what are those systems seeing? And we did it not only statically, but we did it dynamic. So you guys have probably seen these deals where at a test track, the vehicle's running down the road, and then a balloon car or a balloon person steps out in front and does the car stop on time. So we did all that work again at standard height, leveling kit, 3-inch lift, 6-inch lift. So we can really understand what's happening to all those ADAS systems, because they're becoming mandatory, right? And they're safety systems. So we finished that. We worked with Kettering University. We put a white paper out on it, and we're doing a lot of work to really make sure manufacturers know what happens, and then installers as well. We talked about smaller mom and pop shops. We're all going to have to be aware of what happens, of course, going forward, because now it's a safety item, right?
Is there any study with trailering with that stuff too? If a guy puts a 4-inch lift?
No, we haven't done that yet, but so we just did the Chevy, we're doing the Ford, we're doing the Dodge Ram next, and then Toyota Tacoma. And in some cases, we're going to have to get in the CAN bus and adjust those cameras, and we're trying to work alongside the OEs. Right now, for example, if you take a 24 Chevy Silverado and you put a larger tire wheel on it, there's no way to recal the speedometer, because they've locked us out. There's no way to recal the all the ADAS systems. So we're going to have to figure that stuff out.
You mentioned Silverado a bunch of times. At either the California facility or the Detroit facility, is there a department that the OEs, particularly General Motors on their Chevrolet trucks, could send the design to you before they release it, and then you could put that into a computer system and tell them that's a poor design, don't build it? Yeah, because that truck looks like shit. No. I didn't know if your technology was that advanced yet, because they've missed for the last 4 years.
That's not really technology, I don't think.
That's no, we don't do that. And we love you guys at GM. You guys are still helping us with tech transfer. We love you. We want you back at the show.
I love everything about General Motors. It's that's I've always had.
I've got one. You don't like the way it looks?
Yours is
he just
better
bought a
looking.
24.
Yeah,
Yours
I've got
is
a
better
24.
looking.
You have a 24?
Right.
Yeah.
20 if it's GMC.
Yeah, GMCs are better.
I've got a GMC.
Yeah.
I
think I like the headlights on the Chevy better.
I've had
I don't have a problem with
GMC
them.
truck, like a crew cab, 4-wheel drive, white every like 3 years since like 04.
Right.
And it whatever the last generation, what was it, 2019?
17, I think, was the first.
No,
Yeah,
I had
I
18. I had an 18.
18.
So
Okay.
2019 is when
19.
they did this shift. And it was kind of like, at that point, you didn't like them either. They
You just get used to it. It's the same. Like, look at BMW, for example, the giant nostrils that everybody freaked out about. I mean, my wife's got one, and do you ever look like it looks that now you're used to it.
No,
Right?
but you have to admit,
it was
the
shot.
2019 and 2020 Chevy truck, especially the interior, how bad, because they used a Game Boy. They worked with Nintendo and put a Game Boy for the.
Well, that's what our tow rig, the Denali's.
Yeah, I've got a Denali tow rig for towing the race cars and
It's
stuff. and
2019,
It's
I think.
awesome.
But the 3500s didn't change to the new body style.
Yeah.
So the
Right,
1500 2019
Okay.
or whatever was the first, like, whatever the.
You just don't like
16900 or
change. You just don't like change. I
I
remember
love
when
change.
it came
It just
out.
looked ugly.
When it came out, there were all these memes, and everybody was like making fun of the headlights. But now, after a year or so, you just get used to it, and that's the new norm. It doesn't bother me. I don't think it's.
Well, you can't see it when you're driving it. You can't tell me and Phil what we see.
Ow.
It's just a safe place.
We're getting brutally honest here, aren't we?
Oh, man.
Is that an honest potion inside that?
I think we need to get Whitey in here just constantly. Must be the whiskey.
Must be
Yeah.
the whiskey. Yeah. We're going to have to start using that. He'll probably be fine with using that song. I don't think he'd make it matter. Question. We might have talked about it briefly, but you're a big Datsun guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Did you just burn yourself out on OBSs, with...
No.
You should be rolling around in some badass OBS. Why Datsun?
No.
Not that it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's
no,
why.
yeah. So, and I have the new Nissan Z. I have the,
Okay.
I have the,
the yellow one with the bronze wheels.
Yeah.
You built it for SEMA last year.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Things kick ass.
Yeah, it's a fun car. It's about 450 horse. I pumped it about another
You had
50
it
horse.
before, like, anybody had
Yeah,
one.
I had the 33rd one in. I knew a guy who knew a guy. So, look, I literally out of high school went to work for a Datsun dealership, sweeping the floors and delivery driver, and started racing Datsuns. And so I've loved them all my life. And my kids kind of have the same bug. I don't even know how many we have, but we have a few.
Do you remember was it 94? What was the new body style 300ZX twin turbo? Was it 94?
That
I
sounds
have
about right.
no idea. I paid no attention to that.
That it seemed like it was the fastest car on earth.
Yeah.
That twin turbo
Is that the one that
300ZX.
Dave
that was
Tucker had?
Yeah, the new body. No, he had a 3000 GT VR4.
No, you didn't have a 3000 GT.
No, he had what's the Dodge version?
The Stealth?
The Stealth.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
But he had a 300ZX. He had a 300ZX.
Yeah.
The wedge one.
Right.
When they went to the new that car was
Yeah, no, they're cool. Look, I have a lot of old Datsuns. I have new Datsuns. I have a Aston Martin. I've got some trucks. The problem is, right, like I would love to build a square body, I'd love to do a C10. I've got a list of things. I've got a 55 Chevy truck that I'll be hitting you guys up for a chassis here soon, but that was my grandfather's truck. And so that's
cool.
kind of, special to me. But my problem is, I was telling you guys earlier when we were walking around the shop, I don't have time to work on stuff. I mean, this job has kept me pretty busy, and I've got to spend some time with the family, which I love doing. I've got 5 grandkids now, and my kids are into cars, and my grandkids are dirt bike riding and motorcycle racing.
Sounds like you gotta start delegating. Selena needs to start pulling her weight.
I know. So, I'm pissed off because I got to pay people to work on my cars, and it's not the money, it's the pride. Right?
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, well, I can't say I did that, and and I'm always checking my ego anyway. But that one hurts.
Yeah,
that I can't say I did it. I want to continue to prove myself as a car builder.
There comes a point though, you're gonna always fall on that of like, well, I'm only gonna be the one to do it and not ever experience it, or just say let somebody do it.
Yeah. So I've got I've got a couple cars I got people working on for me right now, and again, it's ticking me off. And I hate to admit it, I'm here on camera and on a podcast with a pretty big name podcast, admitting that I'm paying somebody to work on my cars. But
it gets to but nobody would be in business if somebody didn't pay to work on their cars. There's not a bad thing about it.
Supporting the industry.
Yeah, but I think I take a little pride in being kind of a car guy working at SEMA and not a a guy that didn't come from the industry. I really do take a little bit of pride of that. Right?
I get it.
So,
but are you the best there ever was at building a car?
I'm such a frustrated builder. Right. So I look at what you guys do, and I look at some of the other. I look at what Foos does, and I walk around the shows, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Or why, what's this new product?
I don't think there's.
I think everybody
I'm
does
so
that.
tired of the stigma and the shame that it comes to of like, well, the built not bought. There's. You can build it 100%. You can build it. You build it until you get to a point that you can afford to pay somebody that can build it better than you. And that goes with everything. Yeah, I can physically do drywall or plumbing in my house, but I'd much rather pay somebody that I know that's going to be doing a way better job than I'm physically capable of. And I don't look around at shame. And when somebody comes over to the house, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't do that wall. Right. I paid somebody to do it.
But I will say also, it is like I have had. The last few, I'm doing a 67 Datsun Roadster Solix model, frame off deal. And I just got the body back from paint about 2 weeks ago. And I'm starting to put the chassis back together. And I will say it's refreshing. Two things. I'm learning that I can spend an hour or two on it and walk away from it, and I don't have to get it all done in one day. I want to get it all done in one day, but I've learned that I could get started and get going. It's still refreshing to me, right? It's still cool to, I'm doing the front suspension now, so
to tackle smaller projects.
Yeah, to put the A-arms together and to put the ball joints in and to, start to put the spindles on I'm trying to do this thing as like I'm even looking up what color, because you can do the gold cadmium plate bolts or the silver. I'm looking to make sure that I put the right bolt in the right color for the right size, and I've got two of them, so I'm pulling parts off the old one to look at them to make sure I put the right hardware back on the new one. And it is fun. It is refreshing. It is still cool to get my hands dirty. But I've kind of learned to be able to do it an hour or two at a time.
It's a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
It's like unparalleled. You can't replace it, because you could make massive moves and work your butt off through SEMA and make just huge changes across the board. But you might find that 3 hours in the garage, and you stand back and you look at those cadmium plated bolts and the way you assembled that front end, that you're more satisfied. You feel more accomplished with yourself having done that.
That is so true. A lot of the stuff we do is 1 year, 2 year, 3 year projects, right? And I've got a couple of rentals and some stuff, and my wife and I just finished a little condo down at the beach, and I did a lot of the work. I painted the walls, right? And she's like, why don't you hire a painter to paint the walls? There's something about painting a room and getting it done in a day and looking back, and it's satisfying, and it's done, right? And you can see that accomplishment, because so much of what look at you guys. I just saw a vehicle that you've been on it for 2 years, and you think it's probably another 2 years, and they're gorgeous. I mean, you guys just built crazy stuff.
You.
But sometimes you just got to do something.
Initial gratification.
Very quick gratification, and see a difference, right? Yeah. And so there's some of that in there, right? And even just continuing to be, I feel like I'm still a student of the industry. I still try to pick up Auto Week and all the other stuff, and I still go to car shows. And my kids are in the business now. At least my two sons, my daughter's kids are already riding dirt bikes and all that. So I still want to learn about the industry. I still go to King of the Hammers. I still want to, make sure that we're relevant and we get what's going on in the industry. And so that's important to me, right? And it's important that our staff does the same things, that they get out to car shows and they talk to members and they understand the changes that are going on in the industry, or what the trends are, what's going on. So that's the team. That's the team we have.
That's key. Got to have your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can lead without really being right there in the heart of it.
Yeah. But if I could come hang out with you guys for a couple of months and learn how to build stuff better, I'd be there.
Come on by. Yeah, it's crazy. I've spent my whole career. I'm passionate about building cars. Physically building cars is what I love to do. But we've grown this, so I don't do that anymore. I haven't done it for years, and it's taken a while. But I've come to grips with kind of both ends of it. Where I made my peace with it's okay to have somebody build something, but I still crave the building process. You know, you need a little bit of both.
So when you see one of your guys working in the shop and see something they've done, and you would have done it differently, what do you do?
You know, it's interesting. It's evolved so much that a lot of times some of the guys now can do it so much better, right? And I like that. I like to see the talent that they have, to almost where I'm learning from them. I've got the tribal knowledge, right, to help them through certain things, but seeing like their raw skill, it's awesome. But then there's some things where I'm like, dude, I'll tell you something. I don't know if I need to step in here and like make this happen, but like I can do that in probably like a quarter of the time and twice as good. But that's becoming more and more seldom, because the young guys have just advanced so much that, and it's not, I feel like some people might get like intimidated by it or like have a chip on their shoulder, but I love seeing it. I just getting to the point where I can walk through the shop and I store those things for when I get ready to physically build something myself, that I'm like, oh, so that's how you did that. Oh, that's pretty cool. Like I never would have thought of doing it that way.
The talent and I think we may have talked about this before, but even at Battle of the Builders, every year you think it's not going to get better. And the talent and the stuff that you guys bring and some of the other builders bring, it just keeps getting better and better and over the top and just crazy along the way. And speaking of Battle of the Builders, this year, instead of doing the TV show, we're going to live stream the whole show.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big change.
I think that's cool.
It's going to be, it's going to be really cool. So, you know, look, everybody knows who won the Battle of the Builders anyway, because all the social media guys get out there and, 5 minutes after whoever the top three are or the winner is, it's out on the internet. And so we're going to live stream the whole show.
Own that content. Put it on your thing. Yeah.
It'd be cool to see it and get everybody to actually experience like what it's like live instead of the.
So across the world now, people are going to see the show, be able to walk the show. They're going to watch the Battle of the Builders. They're going to watch the drama as it unfolds. They're going to watch, which cars make it, which cars don't. And it's going to be live streamed. And look, so many people can't make it to the show, but they're going to be able to have that experience.
Right. That's
and,
really cool.
And we'll take inserts out of it and all that and continue to show them. But why not share it with the whole world? Why not? It's just going to be new and different. The consumer who, I know some sneak in, but the ability for them now to watch online, it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it.
This year be a little different, right? Fridays? Don't you have
we're going to do SEMA Fest on Friday, so consumers can come to the show on Friday, and then we're going to do the same thing we did before, but on Friday on campus, we're going to do SEMA Fest. We're about to announce the bands, but there'll be some really cool music again this year. And just that lifestyle, just supporting that lifestyle again and allowing consumers, for a lot of reasons, we want to bring more people into, I think SEMA's brand name can be better utilized in allowing consumers to see it, allowing people to be part of SEMA, having some sort of experience within the show. We still want to do business Tuesday through Thursday, but opening up to Friday. The demographic's changing, right? I mean, we did SEMA Fest last year, and it was definitely we had 14,000 people there. The demo was definitely younger. 45-year-old was the average age of people at SEMA Fest. The SEMA show itself is about 80-20 male to female. It was more like 60-40 at SEMA Fest. So again, bringing that younger demographic, bringing more women into the space, enjoying that lifestyle and that culture. We're going to continue to push that envelope.
That's good. I think it went well. There was concerns with that because when it was opened up, you start thinking that it can almost be where you don't have people that are like are really, really into it and know, I guess, like how to behave around these super high end vehicles and products and things like that. That it can almost be like the auto show where there's guys like ripping shift knobs off of cars and things. But I have to say, it was not. No, that wasn't the case at all.
I got to tell you, there's still enthusiasts
smooth.
There.
They were all enthusiasts. I didn't notice any change at all. Did you guys?
That's good.
We brought a heavily patinaed car just in case, though. So
no, but it's good.
Right.
Yeah, there were no horror stories. You didn't hear anything about it.
That's good to hear.
It's just a whole new crew of people that can come in and experience the show.
Those are the next group of consumers, right? Those are the next group of passionate people that either want to be part of our industry or car curious that love our lifestyle. So why not share it with them? a lot of manufacturers, they kind of go through this trend where as you're a new manufacturer, you need distribution, you need people buying your products. But as you get longer in the life cycle of your business, you've already got distribution. You already have your customer base, right? So now it's about branding. It's about brand imaging. And then it's about make sure that consumer knows who you are. And so, look, when I was on the board years back, about the membership was about 80% wanted to keep it B2B only, and about 20% wanted to go consumer. We're now at about 50-50. So how do we manage both sides of that business? SEMA show Tuesday through Thursday, B2B. Friday, let's open up to the public, and let's rock and roll. Let's have a party.
Yeah, we've talked about that on this podcast before, about the same people bitching about keeping it B2B or whatever are the same people looking at you and be like, what are you going to do for us?
Right.
You're
What's
selling
the benefit?
You're selling to the end consumer anyways, so get them involved in it. They're the ones buying it.
That's exactly what you're doing for them. Like, we're trying to,
these guys, look, we got, this year we'll have manufacturers that have been coming to the show for 56 years. Those guys have their distribution. They know who their customer base is. It's about relationships with their existing customers, and it's about branding and media attention. So let's let them have it.
Yeah, it's good.
Rapid fire questions now. If you could put a satellite SEMA event any place in the country, first city, where would it be?
Probably the Southeast. I think there's so many places. I mean, Texas has got some great truck people, right?
It's a good spot.
Yeah, you get into the Southeast, there's definitely, big population. There's car people everywhere, but if you get these concentrations, all shows are still regional. I mean, as big as SEMA is, all shows are still regional. And, we get a lot of PRI people that go to the PRI show that are racers and all that don't come to the SEMA show, and then vice versa. We have racing products at SEMA show. We got off-road people that go to the PRI show because it's more regional. But I think the Southeast is probably the place, followed by Texas, followed by Northeast. Midwest is great.
That's the best. Midwest is the best.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be.
Hands down.
Yeah, hasn't had a lot of success with the car shows in the Midwest, so I don't know that would be a great pick. But
A very short window.
yeah, Texas, Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville's obviously hot, right, for everything right now. That's the new Nashville's the new Vegas, right? I mean, even for
Nash Vegas.
Yeah, Nash Vegas. Yeah.
Fucking traffic there. It's nuts.
Nuts, isn't it?
Yeah,
but that's, I mean, if you look at bachelor party and bachelorette parties now, they're there. If you look at partying, it's wild. It's the South Vegas.
Yeah.
This is the slowest rapid fire questions I've ever heard.
Yeah.
No, I'm letting people talk.
Oh, I just thought rapid fire is rapid, but
it's the white label.
We talked about best piece of advice you've ever received the last time. What is the best piece of advice that you would give somebody right now?
Find something you're really passionate about and do it hard and do it well, and don't care about what other people think of you or what, people make fun of you. If you really love something, I don't care what it is, go do it and do it hard and do it right. And you get one chance at all this, right? Yeah. And so do what you love and make a living at it. And it doesn't have to be something you do that's wealthy. Although I do think that hard work and passion of what you do can get you somewhat successful, but go just do what you like and don't care what other people think.
It's good.
Yeah. Provided it's legal.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That leads me to the, we're getting there. Yeah,
so,
we're getting there.
I used to have two caveats. Don't try to become a musician and don't try to become an actor. But I think even if that's what you love, go do it.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could ban any manufacturer or business from the SEMA show, who would it be and why? No, just kidding.
I have my opinions, but I also want to keep my job.
We've started a new thing here this last season. Your favorite, and you've probably got some, not in a bad way, your favorite or most memorable law enforcement interaction story.
Law enforcement. Ooh, I've got a few.
Everybody does.
Yeah. Gosh, the one that comes to mind right away as you say that, I had a car that wasn't exactly legal or allegedly legal that
That's why SEMA doesn't give legal advice. Right.
that I built for the SEMA show probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. And I got in late Saturday night and left it on the trailer. And then it was the Hard Rock Hotel. And I pulled it off the trailer and I drove it to the convention center. And I probably didn't get 300 yards, and cop lit me up, brought me over. Oh God, I got a couple of these now that I think of it.
That's fine. Keep going. Let's go.
But I had to get out of the car, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, the car was going to the SEMA show, and he started checking the car out. I didn't have plates on it.
It's a show car.
Yeah, it was a show car, and he wanted to check the VIN numbers and all that. Ooh. And he ended up asking me if I could get past this for him for the show, and I did. And he was like, "Have a nice day." And
so it's just a hustle.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a hustle. Let me go. So
shakedown.
Yeah, that's probably it. Last year I was taking the Z to the SEMA show, and I got out in the middle of the desert and I lit it up, probably allegedly maybe $120, $130, and as I was slowing down, sure enough, a cop in right hand corner just pacing me. And I thought, this is kind of a badge of honor, right? Like
business card came out first.
No,
for the driver's license.
So I was ready. I was already all right. I'm going to pull over. The cop's going to be behind me. I'm going to shoot a picture for social media of the cop, through my rearview mirror. That shot, right?
I'm so ready to get to the show.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is going to cost me a lot of money. I think past double the speed limit, you can go to jail. Like all this is going through my mind.
But it's marketing. The company pay for it.
Yeah. And
branding.
And my license is Z. It's a new Z, so it's SEMA show, ZEMA show.
Gotcha.
That's my personal plate. And he followed me, and I was like, all right, I'm done. And I was in the 2-lane. I was in the fast lane. I pulled over into the slow lane, just truck lane, just waiting to be lit up. He pulled in behind me for a second. And then he came around me and did one of those things and took off. Yeah. And I was like, oh, thank you. Cause I
you get lucky every once in a while.
Yeah. And I was like, SEMA CEO gets busted for doing $130.
That's a badge of honor.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was torn between a badge of honor and my insurance rates going up and
losing your license.
I'm telling you what,
your wife driving.
If you had
everywhere.
to do the commencement speech for the opening breakfast from fucking lockup,
you'd win a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are over.
It's street cred for sure.
100% street cred.
Yeah, there probably is. Anyway, probably a lot of those stories, but over the years,
we've all had them.
Yeah.
There's got to be a ton of those of getting in and out of the SEMA show, because over the years, I mean, we've driven dozens of cars that I don't think anything's got plates. Allegedly. Yeah. Nothing's got plates. Nothing's like, some of them aren't street legal. But
the amount of rock crawlers that you see.
Yeah, but you got to get from the parking lot to the show.
Yeah.
But that's
usually pretty lenient. I will say, we talked about Pebble Beach earlier. Last year, the cops were everywhere, and they know who's coming to town, and they really locked down. So when you guys are going, word to the wise, be careful. The cops are enforced there.
You talk about SEMA though.
We'll be in a rental car, so that's good advice.
Really
we need that.
Friday night.
The cruise.
After cruise, all the excitement, everything's crazy. People, any casino that you go into Friday night at like 9:30, anybody that you run into, first of all, there's nobody. Like it's that show that
empties out.
That's the only time on a Friday night that Vegas is done. Yeah. Right? They've had enough.
Yeah.
And everybody that you run into is looking and feeling the same way that you are. Just done. I just gotta get something to eat. Yeah. And let's just we're done. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. It's just like nothing but zombies.
Everybody thinks that we just party all week long, and it's work, right? It is
work. Yeah.
Well, the partying's part of the
job.
work.
Yeah, true.
It's still work.
Yeah. No, it's I used to, my experience has been I used to be able to go out and you can hang out every night and have a good time. And then I used to notice by like Thursday night I was done. Then it became Wednesday night, and now I can probably do one night out. Right, Sunday night I can stay out a little late, and then
I started calling an early night once or twice a week.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough.
I know.
It sucks getting old.
And you got to be, for me, I got to be sharp every morning. I got to speak somewhere or do something, or say hello to somebody.
I've learned that I just never say that I'm going to try to call it an early night, because whatever that day that you get up, like, hey, we're not doing anything crazy tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to try to go to bed early. That right
that
there
never works, does it?
Nope. That's we just go back to the show.
Yeah, I'm with you, Phil. The past couple of years, I think I've had 2 nights at least.
I'm going to go up to the hotel room and shower, sit on the bed, and next thing you know,
there was
it's
one you guys went on last year. I was
cold.
just like done.
Yeah. Well, that last year was a easy one. We didn't do anything besides our party.
It was
Thursday night. We're getting old.
So now my 2 boys are in the industry, and one of them usually stays in my hotel room with me, and I'm seeing him come in the door as I'm going out the door, the next morning, and I was like, all right, dude. Yeah. It's going to catch up one of these days.
Let it They told us the same thing. Yeah, I know. Catch up.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Thank you. You guys too.
It really enjoyed it.
Now is your chance. You got to get whatever the plugs in that you didn't get in, whatever the questions we didn't answer. Now's the chance.
You guys did a great job.
No,
it's.
I don't have to say that.
No, you did a great job. Probably the only other thing that we're working on is the Explore Act. We're trying to work. It's a bill before Congress right now to make sure that lands stay open to do off-roading and do recreational vehicles. So that's really important to us as well. So all these bills that we're always trying to get through, and there's crazy stuff, right? There's, again, this rule in California right now where they want to put a beacon on your car and you can't drive more than 10 miles over the speed limit. And you would think that would never get anywhere, and it's kind of made its way through a few places. So there's all these laws that we're always trying to, up till last week, you couldn't lift your vehicle in Georgia. Governor just signed our bill last week that made it legal to lift your vehicle in Georgia.
I think you can't lift the rear. You can lift the front.
That's
North Carolina.
South Carolina. Sorry.
I didn't know where it breaks.
On the Explore Act, and I think it's awesome. I'm full liberty.
Yep.
Everybody has all freedoms figured out.
Right.
But what's the sales pitch on that? How do you be like, we got to have a place to
so it is that, okay, government, tell us which lands we can be on and make it clear, and tell us which lands we can't be on. And look, some of this you join with other associations. So whether it's for off-roading or whether it's so you can ride your mountain bike off-road, but give us access to lands where we can do those sorts of things. And people want to get out overlanding, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So, but other than that, it's just, again, it's this passion for the industry. You guys are part of it. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. This podcast, you bring great people on. I listen to it, and
I appreciate
and
that.
You guys pump us and are very appreciative of SEMA. And
we love the show.
Yeah.
So we're happy to pump
and
it.
You guys are rock stars there. I don't know if you guys know just how much you guys are rock stars there, but you are, and we appreciate it. And we, love being part of, your deal. You've had some great people on this show, all great car guys. And I
think SEMA's been tremendous. It's probably been the absolute most important thing in any of our careers.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Yeah.
The most memorable moments for me and like stepping stones in all of ours have happened at SEMA.
I mean, I get all the milestones, I think, as I look back, has been SEMA. They really have.
Well, you guys have brought it before too. I mean, you guys really bring it. But yeah, look, I pinch myself that I get to be part of this industry still, and never expected to be in this spot, but I love it. I'm passionate about it. And I don't wake up a single day where I'm not thankful that I get to do what I do. And, I don't know how much longer I'll do it. I'll do it for a couple more years, I guess, but
we'll keep rolling. Everybody should be very thankful, very appreciative that they've got a true car guy at the helm.
Yeah, thank you. And my wife is really good about it. She's very supportive, and she knows this is what I love. And, sometimes I'm away from home right now. Right. Yeah. And, but I got a great family back home, and my kids and my wife and my grandkids been married almost 42 years. And, it wouldn't be that way if she wasn't supportive. And, we couldn't find ways to always make things, fun and popular. And
SEMA couldn't be in better hands. And like you said, everybody that's a member right now they should understand how good of hands they are, because like you said, he's a car guy.
Well, and I got a great team. I really do have a great team, and I'm appreciative of them as well.
Fucking awesome.
Just no more shout us to Selena because I'm not going to be able to afford it here pretty quick. Jeez, you guys.
Well, I can't wait.
You must be paying her good. We tried to hire her, and she said no.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
How many months out are we? We're closing in. What?
Yeah, we're in
We're,
June.
we're going to be up in, we're like
5 months away.
Several.
June, July, August. It's like 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5
Yeah, we're
months
there.
away.
Notice to all builders, get your shit done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
this
coming.
Let this.
Everybody's fixed to get started.
So that
I got to order chassis tomorrow. I got to build this car for SEMA.
I don't know if I can say that car that's downstairs with the big flares that's all still in metal.
We're pushing.
God,
we're
that
pushing.
car's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's,
if you get that car put together in time.
SEMA's the
Good
place.
news is they're having a show next year too.
I know.
Yeah,
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 SEMA's
yeah.
the place to debut it. We're pushing. We're
This year?
doing what we can.
Sure.
You've been hanging
Just-
out with the
hey.
same politicians.
Just stay over on the chassis shop. Don't worry. Don't worry about what we do.
I just
over
asked a question.
here. Don't worry about it.
Everything downstairs is amazing, but that car, you bring it, and it's unique, right? You don't see, I won't say what it is, but you don't see that car.
It's a different one.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're stoked about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get there.
Mike, it's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
guys.
for the whiskey.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks. As always, guys.
We do a little party on Thursday night of SEMA, and it's after the bank. It's later on in the evening. You're going to say it on air that you're going to at least swing by.
I will swing by. Okay, so we got this other thing that started happening this year.
Okay.
That's really fun. So a group of us were in Japan a year and a half ago for the Tokyo Auto Salon, and we ended up doing karaoke late at night.
Okay.
And
Like you do.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
and
it's-
Sweet
Stereotypes.
Caroline came up, right? So we had to sing Sweet Caroline. So I got to the SEMA show this year. Thursday night, banquet's over. We're in the hotel room. Band's playing. The next thing I know, I'm being dragged by the collar up on stage, and we had to sing Sweet Caroline, right? And the whole hotel, the Westgate, I mean, people left the tables and everything. And I look out, and there's got to be this crowd of 400 people singing with us as we sang Sweet Caroline.
Wow.
And it was a blast. But that's going to be a tradition for us now. So if I come to your gig on Thursday night,
you got to swing.
We'll have
sing
it queued
Sweet
up.
Carolina.
I just know
Ready to
that
go.
I either got to sing Sweet Caroline first at the Westgate Hotel.
Okay.
Or I got to do it at your place.
That's fine.
an
You can do
encore.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that we're gonna actually promote that. I think
Okay.
that's right. Come to the Roadster Shop SEMA
And let me
party.
tell you, we screw up the words all but the ba ba ba, right?
Good.
So
That'll work.
Anyway, it's fun.
One last one. I would
go
say
ahead.
we have a 10 millimeter socket that has been
Yeah, you see it.
in the
Yeah,
same place
see
for
it.
a
I
whole
see it.
year.
Yes,
That is
yeah.
the only one that probably has not been lost yet.
I looked for it when I came in to see if it was still there.
This is a living and breathing
It's
backdrop.
growing.
Well, you guys
Shrine of
dropped that. You
stuff.
guys dropped that. If you were looking for your 10 millimeter socket, you
We've
dropped
got
it
it
a
right
couple
there.
years
You
ago.
know where it is.
And you now know where it is.
That one has
So
not escaped yet.
Surprised it hasn't fallen behind the TV screen.
Yeah.
I'm honored that it's still there.
Thanks for listening to Oil and Whiskey with the Roadster Shop, an Ironclad original. If you like the show, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. Be at SEMA. If you're not at SEMA,
You're not cool.
Live stream Battle of the Builders.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
You do
Check
that
out
well.
Instagram. We'll see you again next week.